The word of Adonai came to me, human being, prophesy against the shepherds of Israel. Prophesy. Tell them, the shepherds, that Adonai Elohim says this: Woe to the shepherds of Israel who feed themselves. Shouldn't the shepherds feed the sheep? You eat the choice meat, you clothe yourself with the wool, you slaughter the best of the herd, but you don't feed the sheep. You don't strengthen the weak, heal the sick, bandage the broken, bring back the outcast or seek the lost. On the contrary, you tyrannize them with crushing force. So they were scattered without a shepherd and became food for every wild animal. They were scattered. My sheep wandered around aimlessly on every mountain and hill. Yes, my sheep were scattered all over the land. No one to search for them, look after them. Therefore, shepherds, hear the word of Adonai. As I live, Adonai Elohim swears, because my sheep have become prey, my sheep have become food for every wild animal, since there is no shepherd, since my shepherd didn't look for my sheep, and instead my shepherds fed themselves, but not my sheep. Therefore, shepherds, hear the word of Adonai. Adonai Elohim says, I'm against the shepherds. I demand that they hand my sheep back to me. I will not allow them to feed the sheep. They won't feed themselves either. I will rescue my sheep from their mouths. They will be food for them no longer. For here is what Adonai Elohim says: I am taking over. I will search for my sheep and look after them myself. Just as a shepherd looks after his flock when he finds himself among his scattered sheep, so I will look after my sheep. I will rescue them from the places where they were scattered when it was cloudy and dark. I will bring them back from those people, gather them from those countries, and return them to their own land. And I will let them feed on the mountains of Israel by the streams in which the livable places of the land. I will have them feed in good pastures. Their grazing ground will be on the high mountains of Israel. They will rest in good grazing ground and feed in rich pastures on Israel's mountains. Yes, I will pasture my sheep. I will let them rest, says Adonai Elohim. I will seek the lost, bring back the outcasts, bandage the broken, and strengthen the sick. But the fat and strong I will destroy. I will feed them with judgment. As for you, my flock, Adonai Elohim says this: I will judge between sheep and other sheep, between rams and billy goats. Wasn't it enough for you to feed on the best pasture and drink from the clearest water? Did you have to trample the rest of the pasture with foul remaining water with your feet? So now, my sheep, eat what you have trampled with your feet, and drink what water fouled by your feet. Therefore, here is what Adonai Elohim says to them: I will judge between the fat sheep and the thin sheep, because you push them with your flanks and shoulder them, and butt all weeks one your horns, till you scatter them in every direction. Therefore, I will save my flock. They will no longer be prey, and I will judge between sheep and other sheep. I will raise up one shepherd to be in charge of them, and he will let them feed, my servant David. He will pasture them and be their shepherd. I, Adonai, will be their God. My servant David will be prince among them. I, Adonai, have spoken. I will make a covenant of peace with them. I will rid them of land, wild animals. They will live securely in the desert and sleep in the forest. I will make them and the places around them a hill blessing, and I will cause the rain to fall when it should. There will be showers of blessing. The trees in the field will bear their fruit, the soil its produce, and they will be secure in their land. Then they will know that I am Adonai, when I break the bars of their yoke and rescue them from the power of those who turn them into slaves. No longer will they be a prey for the nations, nor will the wild animals devour them, but they will live securely. No one will make them afraid. I will make productivity of their crops famous. They will no longer be consumed by hunger, in the land and bear the shame of the nations anymore. They will know that I am Adonai their God, and with them, that they, the house of Israel, are my people, says Adonai Elohim. You, my sheep, the sheep of my pasture, human beings, and I am your God, says Adonai Elohim. The word of Adonai came to me, human being. Turn your face against Mount Seir, prophesy against it, and say that Adonai Elohim says, I am against you, Mount Seir. I will stretch out my hand against you and make you utterly desolate. I will make your city's ruins, make you an utter waste. And you will know that I am Adonai Elohim because your long-standing hatred. But you put the people of Israel to the sword at their time of calamity, the time of final iniquity. Therefore, as I live, Adonai Elohim swears, I will prepare for you blood. Blood will pursue you. You intensely hate your own blood relatives. Therefore, blood will pursue you. Yes, I will make Mount Seir utterly desolate, cutting off from it anyone passing through or returning. I will fill the mountains with his slain. Hills and valleys and all your ravines will fall those slain by the sword. I will turn you into perpetual ruins. Your cities will not return. You will know I am Adonai. Because you say, these two nations, these two countries will be mine, we will take possession of them, even though Adonai is there. Therefore, as I live, swears Adonai Elohim, I will deal with you as your anger and envy arises from your hatred deserve. I will make myself known among them when I judge you. You will know that I, Adonai, have heard all your blasphemous talk against the mountains of Israel, such as, they are desolated, they are given for us to devour. Moreover, you have boasted against me with your mouth, speaking more and more against me. I have heard it. Here is what Adonai Elohim says. To the joy of all the land I will desolate you. Since you rejoice over the possessing of the house of Israel because it was desolate, that is what I will do to you. You will be desolate, Mount Seir and all Edom, all of it. They will know that I am Adonai. Now you, human being, prophesy to the mountains of Israel. Say, mountains of Israel, hear the message from Adonai. Adonai Elohim says, the enemy is boasting over you. Ha! But the ancient places are ours now. Therefore prophesy and say that Adonai Elohim says, because they desolated you and swallowed you up from every side so that other nations could take possession of you. And now people are gossiping about you and slandering you. Therefore, mountains of Israel, hear the message of Adonai Elohim. This is what Adonai Elohim says to the mountains and the hills, the streams, the valleys, the desolate wastes, the abandoned cities, now preyed on and derided by and their surrounding nations. Therefore, this is what Adonai Elohim says. The heat of my jealousy I speak against other nations and all of Edom, since rejoicing with all their heart, they have arrogated my land to themselves as a possession, and with utter contempt seized it as prey. Therefore prophesy concerning the land of Israel. Say to the mountains, hills, the streams, the valleys, that Adonai Elohim says this. I speak in my jealousy and fury, because you have endured by shaming by the nations. Therefore thus says Adonai Elohim, I have raised my hand and sworn that the nations surrounding you will bear their shame. But you, mountain of Israel, you will sprout your branches and bear your fruit for my people Israel, who will soon return. I am here for you. I will turn toward you, and you will be tilled and sown. I will multiply your population, all the house of Israel, all of it. The cities will be inhabited and the ruins rebuilt. I will multiply both human and animal populations. They will increase and be productive, and I will cause you to be inhabited as you were before. Indeed, I will do you more good than before. You will know that I am Adonai. I will cause people to walk on you, my people Israel. They will possess you. You will be their inheritance. Never again will you make them childless. Adonai Elohim says, because they say to you, land, you devour people and make your nations childless. Therefore you will no longer devour people, and you will not make your nations childless anymore, says Adonai Elohim. I will not permit the nations to shame you. or the people to reproach you any longer. You will no more cause your nations to stumble, says Adonai Elohim. The word of Adonai came to me, human being. When the house of Israel lived in their own land, they defiled it by their manner of life and their actions. Their way before me was like the uncleanliness of Niddah. Therefore I poured out my fury on them because of the blood they had shed in the land, and because they defiled it with their idols. I scattered them among the nations, dispersed them throughout the countries. I judged them in keeping with the manner of their life and actions. When they came to the nations they were going to, they profaned my holy name, so that the people said to them, "There are Adonai's people who have been exiled from this land." But I am concerned about my holy name, which the house of Israel is profaning among the nations where they have gone. Therefore, tell the house of Israel that Adonai Elohim says this: I'm not going to do this for your sake, house of Israel, but for the sake of my holy name, which you have been profaning among the nations where you went. I will set apart my great name to be regarded as holy. Since it has been profaned in the nations, you profaned it to them. The nations will know that I am Adonai, says Adonai Elohim. When before their eyes I will set apart through you to be regarded as holy. For I will take you from among the nations, gather you from the countries, and return you to your own soil. Then I will sprinkle clean water on you, and you will be clean. I will cleanse you from all your uncleanliness, and from all your idols. I will give you a new heart and put a new spirit inside you. I will take the stony heart of flesh, your flesh, and give you a heart of flesh. I will put my spirit inside you and cause you to live by my laws, respect my rulings, and obey them. You will live in the land I gave to your ancestors. You will be my people, and I will be your God. I will save you from all your uncleanliness. I will summon the grain and increase it, and not send famine against you. I will multiply the yield of your fruit from the trees and increase production in the fields, so that you will never again will suffer reproach or famine among the nations. And you will remember your evil ways and your actions, that they were not good. As you look at yourselves, you will loathe yourselves, your guilt and disgusting practices. Understand, says Adonai Elohim, and I'm not doing this for your sake. Instead, be ashamed and dismayed for your ways, house of Israel. Adonai Elohim says, when the day comes for me to cleanse you from all your guilt, I will cause the cities to be inhabited and the ruins to be rebuilt. Land that was desolate will be tilled, whereas formerly it lay desolate for the passing by to see. That they say, the land that used to be desolate has become like Gan Eden, and the cities formerly ruined, abandoned, wasted, have been fortified and inhabited. Then the nations around you will remain to know that I, Adonai, have rebuilt the ruins and replanted what was abandoned. I, Adonai, have spoken, and I will do it. Adonai Elohim says, in addition, I will let the house of Israel pray to me to this for them, to increase their numbers like sheep, like flocks of sheep for sacrifice, like flocks of sheep in Jerusalem and its designated times. In the degree will the ruined cities be filled with flocks of people, they will know that I am Adonai.